When a woman is about to pull you into a game, she'll never admit she's playing. There's a moment, a tiny shift in the air, where everything still looks innocent on the surface, but the energy behind her words quietly changes. You feel it before you understand it. A softness that suddenly feels too soft. A sweetness that tastes a little too sweet. Almost like a velvet curtain covering something sharp. And you don't want to believe it, because part of you hopes she's still the girl you thought she was. But those 4 words she's about to say, they're not random. They're signals, psychological breadcrumbs, a warning wrapped in warmth. This is the moment when most men ignore their instincts. You tell yourself you're overthinking. You tell yourself she's just busy or stressed or tired. But deep down, your gut whispers the truth. Something is shifting. Something is being hidden. And the scariest part? She wants you to believe the performance more than she wants to be honest with you. Welcome to Female Code Unlocked, where we peel back the layers of emotion, intention, and psychology that most people never talk about. If you're ready to understand what lies beneath her words, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's go deeper. Because what I'm about to tell you, most men never see it coming until it's too late. It starts with a casual tone, a soft laugh, maybe even a playful expression that feels harmless. But then she drops the first phrase, something like, "I'm just confused right now." And on the surface, it sounds vulnerable. It sounds like she's being honest. But if you listen closely, those 4 words aren't about confusion. They're about distance. They're about creating a psychological fog she can hide in. A space where she doesn't have to commit, doesn't have to explain, and doesn't have to feel guilty for what she's about to do next. You ever notice how confused never stops her from talking to someone else? How confused doesn't prevent her from keeping you as an option while she explores a new possibility? That's because confusion is rarely real. It's a pause button she controls, a way of saying, don't ask questions, don't expect clarity. Let me do what I want until I decide otherwise. And you, because you care, because you're loyal, because you're trying to understand, end up walking on emotional eggshells. You accept the uncertainty. You wait for clarity. You hope she'll choose you in the end. But here's the truth. Most men never learn. When she says, "I'm confused," she's not asking for time. She's asking for freedom. Freedom to move differently while keeping you emotionally invested. Freedom to explore without consequences. Freedom to make you feel guilty for wanting honesty while she enjoys the luxury of vagueness. That's the psychology behind the phrase. But here's where things get even deeper. These 4 words aren't dangerous because of the phrase itself. They're dangerous because of what they do to you. They disarm you. They make you soften. They make you question your instincts. They transform you from a man with standards into a man waiting for permission. And she feels that shift. Trust me, women feel it instantly. The moment your energy changes, the moment you move from confident to cautious, from secure to doubtful, she senses it. And if she's playing you, even just a little, that's exactly the response she wants. Not because she's evil, not because she wants to hurt you, but because uncertainty gives her power. Emotional ambiguity puts her in control. Now imagine this scene. She sends a short text late at night. 3 dots appear, then disappear. You stare at your phone, wondering what she meant, what she's thinking, whether she still feels the same. She knows you're waiting. She knows you're replaying the last conversation in your head, and she knows that "I'm confused" gave her the perfect excuse to be inconsistent without feeling accountable. This is where most men get trapped. But you're not most men, not anymore. Because once you recognize the psychology behind her words, you stop reacting emotionally, and you start responding intelligently. The second phrase women use right before they play you is quieter, almost invisible, because it's disguised as reassurance. It sounds gentle, calming, even considerate. She'll look you in the eyes, maybe touch your arm, and whisper something like, "Don't worry about it." At first, it feels comforting, like she's trying to protect your heart. But if you listen with emotional intelligence instead of hope, you'll feel the shift. "Don't worry about it" isn't reassurance, it's dismissal. A locked door. A soft way of saying, stop asking questions that get too close to the truth. Women don't say "don't worry about it" when everything is fine. They say it when something is happening, something they don't want to explain, something they hope you'll ignore long enough for them to figure out their next move. Think about it. When a woman respects you, she gives clarity. When she values you, she gives honesty. When she still sees a future with you, she doesn't hide her intentions. She shares them. But when she wants space to act without accountability, she makes you feel unreasonable for wanting answers. She knows you're perceptive. She knows you can sense the shift in her tone, the slower replies, the sudden emotional distance. And instead of offering the truth, she offers a phrase that sounds harmless but carries a psychological punch. Don't worry about it. It creates a power imbalance. You start doubting yourself. You start thinking, maybe I am overreacting. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. And the moment you start questioning your own intuition, she doesn't even have to lie. You're already silencing yourself. Picture the moment. You ask her, "Is something wrong?" She tilts her head, gives a half smile, and lightly shakes her head. Don't worry about it. Then she changes the subject. Faster than your heart can process. You feel it in your stomach. That sinking heaviness. That tension between your ribs that whispers, something isn't adding up. You're not imagining it. You're not being dramatic. Your nervous system knows when the emotional temperature changes, even when your mind tries to stay calm. Here's the dark psychology behind this phrase. Women know that avoiding specifics gives them control. It allows them to shift their behavior without having to explain the shift. It keeps you close, but not close enough to interfere with what they're doing behind the scenes. And just like that, you become emotionally disarmed. Not because you're weak, but because you care. And women can feel when a man cares more than he questions. That dynamic alone is enough to tilt the entire balance of power. But here's the part most men never master. When she says, "Don't worry about it," the worst thing you can do is panic, chase, or push harder for answers. That reaction tells her she can control your emotions with a short sentence. It tells her she doesn't need to be honest, because you'll break your own boundaries for the illusion of peace. Instead, you need to become unpredictable again. Not in a manipulative way, in a self-respecting way. When she avoids the truth, you don't force it. You mirror her distance. You match her uncertainty with your own silence, not to punish her, but to protect yourself. Because here's what no one tells you. A woman who is playing games only continues when the game still gives her power. The moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop chasing clarity she refuses to give, the game stops being fun for her, and she feels it. Women feel emotional withdrawal like a temperature drop. When you stop letting her words hypnotize you, she has to rethink her entire approach. The third phrase slips out when she's already halfway gone, emotionally, mentally, or secretly investing her attention elsewhere. It sounds innocent, even polite, but there's a coldness behind it. A distance she hopes you won't notice because she wraps it in softness. She'll say something like, "I just need a little space." Now listen carefully, because this is where most men make their biggest mistake. When a woman says she needs a little space, she's not talking about healing, thinking, or finding herself. She's talking about creating emotional room, a buffer, a cushion between you and whatever or whoever she's shifting toward. Space is never neutral. Space is preparation. Space is transition. Space is the quiet exit before the door officially closes. But she doesn't want you to feel abandoned. Not yet. She wants to leave without being the villain. She wants to drift without guilt. She wants you to accept the shrinking connection without questioning what caused it. So she uses the softest version of distance. I just need a little space. Not too much, not too little. Just enough to calm your suspicion. Just enough to make her exit look emotionally reasonable. Most men hear that phrase and panic. Their hearts drop. Their minds race. They start texting more, explaining more, reassuring more, desperately trying to pull her back. But here's the paradox. The more you chase, the more she runs. The more you plead, the more she pulls away. The more you try to fix what she refuses to talk about, the more power she gains. Women don't lose attraction when you give them too little attention. They lose attraction when your fear becomes bigger than your self-respect. But let's go deeper, into the psychology underneath. When a woman needs space, she's searching for emotional contrast. She wants to feel what life is like without your presence, without your messages, without your warmth, without your expectations. She wants to see who she is on the other side of you. She wants to explore the feeling of not being tied down, even if she swears she's not going anywhere. But here's the dark truth. Nobody asks for space unless there's someone or something taking its place. It could be another guy. It could be attention from social media. It could be emotional validation from someone she hasn't told you about. It could even be the thrill of what if, the fantasy of a life not yet lived. Space is simply the doorway. And what you do next determines everything. If you become clingy, overbearing, emotional, or reactive, you confirm her decision. You validate her doubts. You become the version of yourself she was already preparing to detach from. But if you respond with calm confidence, if you pull back without resentment, if you let her walk into her space without chasing, everything changes. Because women don't expect that. They expect you to fight for them. They expect you to beg, to negotiate, to plead your case like you're on trial. But when you don't, when your energy stays centered, still, grounded, she starts questioning her decision. She starts feeling the emptiness she asked for. She starts noticing the silence she thought she wanted. Suddenly, the space she created becomes uncomfortable. Cold, too quiet, too empty. And that's when she starts looking back. The game only continues if you play your assigned role. Break the pattern, and the power shifts instantly. The fourth phrase is the most dangerous of all, not because of what it says, but because of what it protects. It's the phrase women use when they want emotional power without emotional responsibility, when they want to keep you close while keeping their options open, when they want the benefits of your presence without the commitment of choosing you. She'll look at you with soft eyes, maybe even a gentle smile, and say, "You deserve better." Most men hear that line and feel a knife twist in their chest. Because it sounds selfless. It sounds noble. It sounds like she's trying to protect you from herself. But if you look past the softness, past the trembling voice, past the carefully chosen words, you'll see the truth. "You deserve better" is not about you. It's about escape. It's the exit door she can walk through without looking like the villain. It's the emotional shield that lets her leave while still appearing compassionate. It's the perfect line because it confuses your heart while letting her conscience stay clean. Women don't say, "You deserve better" when they want to stay. They say it when they already left, emotionally, mentally, or secretly. And now they want the freedom to leave physically too. But here's the real psychological twist. That phrase isn't meant to end things. It's meant to keep the door open. By telling you that you deserve better, she places herself in a position where you feel protective of her instead of questioning her. She becomes the fragile one, the wounded one, the one who's not good enough, so you don't get angry, you get patient, you get understanding, you get forgiving. And that forgiveness, it becomes the leash she never has to hold. You hold it for her. She can leave. She can come back. She can distance herself. She can reappear suddenly. Because if she ever returns, even after hurting you, you'll remember her words. You'll tell yourself, "She warned me. She tried to protect me. Maybe she really did care." But she wasn't warning you. She was softening your resistance. Let me paint the picture. You're sitting with her. There's tension in her voice, hesitation in her eyes. She exhales, looks away, then whispers, "You deserve better." Your heart drops, your mind freezes, your breath catches in your throat, because part of you knows. The moment she says that line, she's already halfway out of your life. Yet another part of you, the part that still cares, wants to save her, wants to prove her wrong, wants to show her that she is enough. And that's the trap. Because the moment you try to prove your worth, the moment you reassure her, the moment you say, "No, I want you," you place all the emotional power in her hands. Now she controls the pace. She controls the closeness. She controls the future. Not because she's heartless, but because she's protecting her ability to leave if she wants to, without losing the option of returning later. Here's what most men never understand. A woman who truly believes you deserve better lets you go cleanly. A woman who says it but still lingers doesn't want to lose you. She just doesn't want to be obligated to you. So what do? You don't argue, you don't reassure, you don't fight the phrase, you meet it with calm, grounded strength. You say, "Maybe, but I'll decide that for myself." Not emotionally, not angrily, just steady, centered, certain. Because in that moment, you reclaim the one thing she wasn't expecting you to take back, your power. And nothing unsettles a woman playing emotional games more than a man who refuses to collapse when she pulls away. You become unpredictable again, mysterious again, attractive again, not because you're trying to be, but because your self-control disrupts the entire psychological script she expected you to follow. When you've heard those 4 phrases, "I'm confused," "Don't worry about it," "I just need a little space," "You deserve better," you're not dealing with random emotions. You're dealing with psychology, patterns, signals, a shift in her emotional alignment that most men feel but never decode. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Once a woman starts using those phrases, she's already testing the boundaries of your self-respect to see who you become when she pulls the strings. Not because she's cruel, but because emotional behavior always reveals the real power dynamic. So here's exactly what to do when she says any of these 4 phrases and why it works on a psychological level. First, you stop trying to decode her intentions and start observing her behavior. Behavior is honest. Behavior doesn't lie. Behavior tells you everything her words are trying to hide. When she becomes vague, distant, or emotionally foggy, your instinct will be to fix it, solve it, close the gap. But the moment you do that, you shift from being the man she was drawn to the man trying to hold her together. And women don't love the man who tries to hold them together. They love the man they feel they might lose. So instead of reacting emotionally, here's what you do. With calm, masculine precision, you pull back. Not in anger, not in punishment, just in energy. You stop over-explaining. You stop chasing clarity. You stop offering emotional safety she refuses to give back. You match her distance without losing your center, because distance only feels like abandonment to people who are clinging. To a grounded man, distance is simply information. You communicate with subtlety, not desperation. Shorter texts, longer response times, more focus on your own life, not performatively, genuinely. Because women can feel the difference between a man pretending not to care and a man who's genuinely unshaken. And that's when the shift happens. When you stop making her the emotional sun your world revolves around, she suddenly feels the coldness of the space she created. Women feel emotional silence louder than emotional words. She'll start wondering, did he lose interest? Did he move on? Did he stop caring? Did I push too far? That uncertainty flips the power dynamic instantly, because now she is the one seeking clarity. She is the one feeling the distance. She is the one wondering what changed. And if she was playing you, even slightly, she'll stop. Because games don't work on a man who doesn't need the person playing them. But let me be clear. Pulling back isn't revenge. It's not manipulation. It's not punishment. It's alignment. You're simply matching the reality she created instead of fighting it. And here's the psychological twist. If she truly cares about you, distance will wake her up. If she was using you, distance will reveal it. If she was confused, distance will clarify it. If she was hiding something, distance will expose it. Pulling back is the ultimate truth filter. But the most powerful thing you can do is stay calm while doing it. Your emotional stability, in the face of her uncertainty, makes you a man she cannot easily replace. A man who doesn't break. A man who doesn't beg. A man who responds instead of reacts. A man who can walk away and mean it. Because a woman only takes you for granted when she believes you won't leave, and she only respects you fully when she knows you can. So remember this, when she pulls away, you don't chase, you rise. And the moment she feels that shift in you, that grounded silence, that unbothered strength, that emotional independence she can't shake, that's when she stops running from you and starts running back to you. If you felt something shift inside you tonight, if one of these phrases reminded you of someone, if the psychology hit a little too close to home, that's not an accident, that's awareness. And once awareness enters the mind, you can't unsee the truth again. If you want more videos that decode the patterns women hide beneath their words, hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and join the men who refuse to be played, because they finally understand female psychology on a deeper level. This is Female Code Unlocked. I'll see you in the next one.